aspiring for.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I know our topic really is about the economy, but maybe before we go there, I was just watching pictures of our head of state. He has gone to attend the inauguration of the Namibian President Ndaitwa, which really, as it should be, and showing very good spirit of good neighborliness.
Well, I'll tell you that, first of all, congratulations to President Ndaitwa, because she was Foreign Affairs Minister with me. When I was Foreign Affairs Minister here in Zambia, she was Foreign Affairs Minister in Zimbabwe, in Namibia. I think she's risen through the political ranks to be where she is. Congratulations to her. And I think there's nothing wrong in our president going to attend that inauguration. As you rightly put it, it's in the spirit of good neighborliness that the president is there, and I think it is in order. But it's only sad that the president did not go to attend the funeral of Sam Nujoma, the founding father of Namibia. I think the president was busy with that Commonwealth lady in Wengo at the time, and he couldn't go to see off the gallant son of the SADC region and Africa as a whole. Well, it has happened, and I think we should understand that Namibia and Zambia are actually somehow intertwined. The Namibians are very close to Zambia. When they got their independence in 1990, it was the likes of the late Kondolungu, who was our deputy speaker here, who had gone to Namibia to train the Namibians. And that is why even their number plates, here it is G.
Real issues affecting the general populace. What's your view on this when you look at the state of our economy versus the focus of constitutional amendments?
It's honestly a very sad state of affairs for our country. We are at a time when the country is struggling with issues of fuel prices. We are at a time when we are struggling with load shedding. We are at a time when the country is struggling with fertilizer for our farmers. We are at a time when the country is literally struggling in all sectors of human endeavor in our country. And then all of a sudden, the president brings a discussion during Women's Day that we have agreed as a country that we are going to do amendments to the Constitution. I think those who are saying that this is supposed to act as a camouflage to the problems we're going through, I think are right. Why would anyone, in God's name, why would anyone want to begin talking about constitutional amendments 14 months before an election? In fact, it is 12 months, a year before an election, you begin talking about amending the Constitution, while remembering that this is the very Constitution which brought President Hakainde Hichilema into office. All of a sudden, the agency to change the Constitution has kicked in. It's a camouflage. They're trying to hide behind this confusion so that the Zambians can forget that the price of meal, which they had told us was going to be costing 50 kwacha, is not costing 50 kwacha. It is now costing 440 kwacha. It is an avenue for them to hide from the fact that we're told when they come into government
about the current energy crisis that the nation is facing, and he has written to sort of justify why Zambia must continue to export power, while, as most people have cried and complained, most Zambians and businesses keep
than we're exporting. So if you are importing power, why should you be importing power when at the same time you are exporting power? He tries to say, no, we need to make sure that we continue servicing our debts and that kind of stuff. How does he know he will not raise the same amount of revenue that is getting by exporting our power if he sold the power locally? After all, you remember that government had increased the tariffs. And the reason they gave for increasing the tariffs was that people were going to have access to power for longer periods. The tariffs were increased, but up to now, people are still struggling with power. There are very few places in Lusaka or around Zambia that are having power for more than 4 hours. Very few. And this has gone on for a very long time. And the minister, even in his response, you can see how relaxed he is. Because people are taking people for granted. Zambians have accepted, they think. But this is how Zambians do behave. Come next year, the UPND will be punished. Because if I were a president, sir, pastor, there is no way I can export power to Namibia. Of water, they are struggling to buy a bag of meal because he promised the people that a bag of meal was going to be costing 50 kwacha. It is now costing 440 kwacha and above. So people are not happy. For me, honestly, if I am elected by the Zambian people, my obligation number one is with the Zambian citizens. Then we'll deal with Namibia, South Africa, and others later. That doesn't mean that we don't like our neighbors. We like our neighbors. But the neighbors are coming to thank you here in Zambia. The Namibians the other day were there, thanking Zambia for giving them power. And the leaders were saying, oh no, don't worry, it's our obligation to make sure that you have power. What a shame. That will not happen. I don't need to be thanked by our neighbors. I need to be thanked by our people here who woke up around 04 to go and queue up to go and vote for Mr. Kainde Hichilema. He has not thanked them. The only thank you has given them is to consign them in perpetual darkness. This must come to an end.
When you look at the economy, the state of the economy today, President Kalaba, and you contrast it against what the UPND found and inherited, they clearly had a focus, and they talked about, debt write-off, or they were going to do debt restructuring, fighting corruption, and reducing the cost of meal, reducing the cost of fuel, reducing the cost of all of these things. Now, when you look at what they inherited and where we are today, there is a school of thought that holds that we are faced.
That is a national asset which should have been benefiting the Zambians. Here where you and I are seated, the mines themselves, you are aware that when the UPND government came into power, they found that the tax, the mineral royalty tax, was at about 6%. What did they do when they came? They halved it to 3%. They gave the reason, that the reason for the mines to pay a lower royal mineral royalty tax was because they wanted to attract more investment in the mining sector. Where are the investors that they have brought in the country? Because even when you look at Konkola copper mines, where they told us that they were going to give us new owners of Konkola copper mines, it has not happened. They have brought back the same vendetta to run Konkola copper mines.
You mean KCM?
Yes, KCM.
Yes.
So, I ask the question, then why did you reduce the mineral royalty tax from 6% to 3%? Why did you do that? It's because being sold at the London Metal Exchange, it's going to give you about 8 billion US dollars. Now, 8 billion US dollars, Pastor, where is that money in this country? Because if you have 8 billion in one single year, it means that this country did not even need the IMF. So Zambia has got the resources. What Zambia doesn't have is a serious leadership. We have leaders who are busy involved in cartels. We have leaders who are busy getting rich at the expense of the Zambian people. And when we speak like this, they'll tell you are politicking. They'll tell you are politicking because they're failing to take hard decisions. Let some of us come into power. We'll make the necessary decisions for the people of Zambia, because there is no way we can be mining copper and we are still struggling as a country. There is no way. This country has got emeralds. Nobody talks about the emeralds that are being mined on the copper belt. Nobody. And yet we are busy going with a begging bowl, the international community. Give us, give us, give us. That must come to an end. It's high time we looked inwardly to redeem ourselves. I think when you look at Tanzania, when Magufuli was president, may he so rest in peace, you saw how Magufuli changed that economy by looking inwardly. Citizens first coming into power will have to look inwardly. And there's a lot of money everywhere.
As a media house, we reported earlier in the week of Zambian citizens in Chipata who are being arrested for buying fuel which is cheaper across the border in Malawi. They feel they'll be making a saving, to buy from Malawi than to buy from Zambia. And the question is, where does Malawi buy that cheap fuel that we cannot find the same affordable fuel? And since when, Mr. President, did it become a crime for a Zambian to be innovative and say, for me to buy this same fuel, let me look for a cheaper source than buying from my own country? And they're being arrested. According to the news reports, we have a correspondent in Chipata, and he found in this report there are people who are being arrested for buying fuel from across the border.
You can even laugh. Why should someone be arrested for going to bring in cooking oil? You are failing to arrest people who are bringing in cooking oil from Zimbabwe and they are selling in Zambia. Why are you not arresting them? You are failing to arrest people who are bringing in clothes from South Africa and they are selling in Zambia. You are not arresting them. Why should you arrest people who are going to get fuel and they bring it in Zambia and they want to resell? So you have to arrest them. Arrest your behavior. Arrest your greedy behavior by UPND. Because once you arrest your greedy behavior, then all these things that we are seeing will come to an end. We told you in the beginning, the only way fuel can come down is what I was saying before. You make Indeni a refinery. Once Indeni is a refinery, you'll be able to stockpile your fuel in there. And once you stockpile your fuel in there, there'll be no need for ERB to be announcing every week. Dr. Kaunda ran this country for 27 years. We never saw the behavior we are seeing today from ERB. Mr. Mwanawasa came, Mr. Chiluba came.
To the late President, President Michael Sata, may he so rest in peace. And that reminded me of a sentiment I heard from someone saying that President Michael Sata was in office much lesser than the time that President Hakainde Hichilema has been in office. And the comment that someone made was that, and I think I was reading somewhere, and I need for you to react to it because you have mentioned President Sata and you triggered that that thought. And the comment was that in the last few years, or the short time that President Sata was in office, he did so much around infrastructure development that you can point at, that at the time that you were departing from this earth, there was a legacy that he left behind. But President Hichilema has been in power much longer than the time that President Sata was in office. And the comment was, there is pretty much nothing that you can point at when you put the two leaders, side by side.
I don't even know why you are saying you read somewhere. Do you even need to read something that you are living, Pastor? Do you honestly even have to read that you read somewhere? Why do you have to say you read somewhere when you know that when Sata was president, we didn't have this kind of load shedding? Why do you have to read somewhere when you know that when Sata failed, all they did were promises, which promises they have not fulfilled? The only promises they have fulfilled is with the foreigners, because yes, they have given the foreigners tax holidays. Yes, it is true. They have they promised the foreigners that they were going to reduce the meal royalty tax from 6 to 3. They have done that. Yes, it is true that now it is easy in our country for foreigners to get big contracts at the expense of Zambians, because when you look at our country today, Pastor, you find that even the people that are doing the Lusaka and Dollar dual carriageway, they are foreigners, and yet the money is coming from workers' compensation, from people that there will be no load shedding. We are being load shedded heavily. They promised us that we are going to have the cost of living will come down. The cost of living keeps on going high. They promised the youths that they'll create jobs for them. They have not done that. The civil servants were promised that their salaries will be increased, that they'll make sure that civil servants who have upgraded themselves are looked at and that they are promoted accordingly. That has not happened. We will do it, especially myself, Pastor, because I was a civil servant. So I know the challenges that the civil service go through. This will be dealt with, we'll handle it properly, and those that have pushed themselves to study more when they have been employed will ensure that they are remunerated according to their studies, according to how they have upgraded themselves, not what we are seeing now.
You seem to be leading me on. I'm the one who should be interviewing, but you're giving me cues of what's been in the news. Earlier in the week, we reported on our page as KBN. A government institution, Zamtel, I can't call myself a civil servant. So I don't know. I need to be educated by you.
Look, first of all, it's very sad that Smart Zambia is under siege by the politicians. And again, it is a lack of understanding of governance by the head of state and his handlers, because the civil service and politics are delinked. The civil service is like a secretariat for government. While they should be able to continue and there should be a sense of permanence in the civil service, in the politics, the people choose and get you in and out at their own will every 5 years. But because of lack of understanding of how government works, this government is mixing things. They are getting cadres to go into government departments, to take over government positions, and they have lost the essence of governance. They have lost the touch and feel of the civil service. When I was entering the civil service, we had to go and sit for exams at NIPA to enter, and then you begin rising through the ranks. Permanent secretaries were rising through the ranks. Today they can get anybody and anybody will become a permanent secretary. And those permanent secretaries now are learning from administrative officers, from executives.